My father didn't cry when he disowned me. He didn't hesitate. He didn't even lower his voice. Standing in the middle of our family mansion, surrounded by relatives, business partners, and guests dressed in expensive suits, he looked straight at me and said, "From this moment on, you are no longer my daughter." My mother stood beside him with her diamond necklace shining under the chandelier. She didn't defend me. She didn't say my name. She simply turned her face away like I was something embarrassing. And my younger sister Vanessa laughed. All because I had chosen to marry Daniel Brooks, a man my family called poor, a man my father said would drag our name into the dirt, a man who, 5 years later, would become the only person powerful enough to save them. My name is Emily Carter. I was born into one of the richest families in Connecticut. My father owned hotels, restaurants, and real estate across 3 states. To the outside world we were perfect. Rich house, perfect clothes, perfect family photos. But inside that mansion, love was always conditional. My father loved success. My mother loved reputation. And Vanessa loved attention. I was the quiet daughter. The one who studied hard, helped at charity events, smiled politely at business dinners, and never caused problems. But no matter what I did, Vanessa was always the favorite. If I got straight A's, Vanessa got a new car. If I won an award, Vanessa cried because nobody praised her enough. If I made one mistake, my father reminded me I was lucky to carry the Carter name. I met Daniel when I was 24. My car broke down outside a small auto shop on a rainy evening. I was angry, soaked, and completely helpless. Daniel came out wearing a faded gray shirt, his hands covered in oil. He didn't know who I was. He didn't care about my last name. He just smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'll get you home safe." That was the first time in my life someone helped me without wanting anything. Daniel was not rich. He lived in a small apartment. He worked long hours. He sent money to his mother. He drove an old truck. But he had something my family never had: a good heart. 6 months later I brought him home. My father barely looked at him. "What do you do?" he asked. "I'm a mechanic, sir," Daniel replied. My father laughed. Not smiled. Laughed. My mother froze. Vanessa covered her mouth like she had just heard a dirty joke. "A mechanic," my father said. "Emily, are you serious?" I felt Daniel's hand gently touch mine under the table. He stayed calm. "Yes," I said. "I love him." My father leaned back in his chair. Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't protect family legacy. Love doesn't belong in business decisions. "This isn't business," I said. "This is my life." His eyes turned cold. "Your life exists because of my name." That night, Daniel told me we didn't have to rush anything. He said he didn't want to come between me and my family. But they had already made the choice. They didn't want me happy. They wanted me obedient. When Daniel proposed, it was simple. No diamonds from Paris. No luxury restaurant. Just a quiet lake, a small ring, and his shaking hands. "I can't give you the world yet," he said. "But I promise I'll never make you feel alone." Said yes. When I told my parents, my father slammed his glass on the table. "You will not marry him." "I already said yes." "Then you will lose everything." My mother whispered, "Emily, don't embarrass us." Vanessa smiled and said, "Maybe she likes being poor." The wedding was small. Daniel's mother came. Few friends came. My family did not. At least I thought they wouldn't. But halfway through the reception the doors opened. My father walked in with my mother and Vanessa behind him. For 1 second I thought he had changed his mind. I thought maybe he came to bless me. Instead he walked to the front of the room, took the microphone and said, "I want everyone here to understand something. Emily Carter has chosen to throw away her family, her inheritance, and her future for this man." The room went silent. Daniel stepped forward, but I held his arm. My father continued, "She is no longer part of the Carter family. She will receive nothing. No money. No property. No support. Let her poor husband provide for her now. My mother looked at the floor. Vanessa whispered loudly, "Good luck paying rent." People stared, some with pity, some with shock. I felt my heart break in front of everyone. Daniel took the microphone from my father's hand and said calmly, "Mr. Carter, one day you'll understand that the poorest man in this room is not me." Then he took my hand and walked me out of my own wedding reception. That night, I cried in Daniel's old truck. "I ruined your life," I said. He shook his head. "No. They revealed theirs. We started with nothing. Tiny apartment, second-hand furniture, bills on the kitchen table. I took a job at a small publishing company. Daniel worked at the auto shop during the day and studied business at night. We didn't have luxury, but we had peace. For the first time, nobody screamed at me. Nobody compared me to Vanessa. Nobody told me love was weakness. 1 year passed. Then 2. Daniel started repairing luxury cars for private clients. He was honest, fast, and brilliant with engines. People trusted him. Slowly, he saved money and opened his own small garage. I helped with paperwork, marketing, emails, and customer service. We called it Brooks Auto. The first month was hard. The second month was worse. By the 6th month, we had loyal customers. By the 2nd year, Daniel expanded. By the 4th year, Brooks Auto became Brooks Mobility Solutions, a company specializing in electric vehicle repair and fleet maintenance. Then came the contract that changed everything. A major delivery company needed electric fleet servicing across the Northeast. Daniel won the deal. Not because of family money. Not because of connections. 'Cause he was good. Really good. By our 5th wedding anniversary, Daniel was no longer a poor mechanic. He was the founder of a multimillion-dollar company. We bought a beautiful home. Not as large as my parents' mansion, but warmer. Happier. And then one morning my phone rang. It was Vanessa. I hadn't heard her voice in 5 years. "Emily," she said, crying. "Dad needs you." I almost laughed from shock. "What happened?" "The business is collapsing. Investors pulled out. There's debt. The hotels are being sold." I stayed quiet. Then she said the words I never expected. "We need Daniel." "Not me. Daniel. The poor man they mocked." I told her I would talk to him. That evening, Daniel listened silently. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I don't know. They hurt you. I know. They humiliated you. I know." He took my hand. "But you're not them. So whatever you choose, choose from strength, not pain." 2 days later, my parents came to our house. My father looked older, smaller. His expensive suit couldn't hide the fear in his eyes. My mother carried a designer handbag, but her hands were shaking. Vanessa looked around our home with jealousy written all over her face. My father cleared his throat. "Emily." Waited. He looked at Daniel. "We need investment support. A bridge loan. Maybe a partnership." Daniel didn't speak. My father continued. "You understand business now. You know how these things work." Daniel smiled slightly. "I was just a poor mechanic, remember?" My father's face turned red. My mother whispered, "Daniel, please." Then I finally spoke. "Before we discuss money, I want one thing." My father looked annoyed. "What?" "An apology." The room went silent. He looked at me like I had asked for his kingdom. For what? I almost couldn't believe it. For disowning me. For humiliating my husband. For letting me cry alone. For choosing pride over your daughter. My mother began crying. Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Emily, this is not the time for drama." Daniel looked at her and said, "It became drama the moment your family walked into our wedding with a microphone." My father stood up. "I will not be insulted in your house." I stood too. "No, Dad. In my house, people tell the truth." For the first time, he had no power over me. No inheritance to threaten. No mansion to throw me out of. No money to control me with. Just truth. My mother broke first. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I looked at her. I'm sorry I didn't protect you. I was afraid of your father. I cared too much about what people thought. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't move. Then my father sat down slowly. His voice was low. I thought I was protecting the family. No, I said. You were protecting your ego. He looked at Daniel. I was wrong about you. Daniel nodded. Yes, you were. My father swallowed. And I was wrong about you too, Emily. That hurt more than I expected. Because part of me had waited 5 years to hear it. Daniel eventually agreed to help, but not the way they wanted. No free money. No blind rescue. He offered to buy part of the failing business legally, restructure the debt, protect employees, and remove my father from full control. My father hated it. But he had no choice. Vanessa screamed. You're stealing our company. I looked at her and said, no, Vanessa. You're finally learning what consequences feel like. Months passed. Daniel saved part of the business but not the Carter empire. The mansion was sold. My parents moved into a smaller house. Vanessa had to get a real job. And me. I finally stopped waiting for my family to love me the way I deserved. One evening my father came to visit alone. He stood at my door holding an old photo of me from childhood. I missed everything, he said. I didn't answer. He continued. I was so focused on building a legacy that I destroyed my family. For the first time I saw him not as a powerful man, but as a broken one. I forgive you, I said. But forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. He nodded. I know. Daniel came outside and stood beside me. My father looked at him and said, you gave her the life I should have wanted for her. Daniel replied, no. She built it with me. And that was the truth. People think revenge means destroying the people who hurt you. But sometimes revenge is quieter than that. Sometimes revenge is healing. Sometimes revenge is happiness. Sometimes revenge is opening the door to the people who rejected you and letting them see that you survived without them. My parents disowned me for marrying a poor man. 5 years later, that poor man saved their business, protected their employees, and treated them with more dignity than they ever gave us. But the greatest victory wasn't money. It wasn't success. It wasn't watching them regret what they did. The greatest victory was realizing I was never poor. Not when I had love. Not when I had peace. Not when I had Daniel. Because family isn't always the people who give you their name. Sometimes family is the person who holds your hand when everyone else lets go. And sometimes the man they call poor is the richest blessing of your life.